What if I told you a man once walked this earth who could calm storms, heal the blind, and still was hated by many? This is his story. In a quiet land, far from power and fame, in a small town called Bethlehem, a child was born. No crown, no palace, no army, just a simple birth in a place meant for animals. His name was Jesus. At first, nothing seemed unusual, but as he grew, things began to change. He didn't chase money. He didn't seek power. Instead, he spoke about love. Love your neighbor as yourself. Simple words, but they carried something people had never felt before: truth. Soon, people started noticing him, not because he demanded attention, but because something about him felt different. Crowds began to follow. Fishermen left their nets. Workers left their jobs. Broken people found hope. Because when Jesus spoke, it didn't feel like a speech. It felt personal, like he knew their pain. But it wasn't just his words, it was what he did. One day, a blind man stood before him. No sight, no hope. Jesus reached out, touched his eyes, and in that moment, everything changed. The man could see. People were shocked. Another day, a violent storm nearly destroyed a boat. Waves crashing, wind screaming, fear everywhere. But Jesus stood up, calm, steady, and said, "Peace, be still." And just like that, silence. The storm stopped. People didn't know what to think anymore. Some believed he was sent by God. Others began to question everything. Because one thing was now clear: this man was not ordinary. The more people loved him, the more others began to hate him. Something was changing, and not everyone liked it. Religious leaders started watching him closely. Because Jesus wasn't following their rules. He healed on sacred days. He spoke about God like no one ever had. To them, this was dangerous. But to the people, it felt like freedom. Jesus didn't sit with the powerful. He sat with the forgotten, tax collectors, sinners, outcasts, the people everyone avoided. Jesus welcomed them. And that made others uncomfortable. They asked, why him? Why does he spend time with people like this? But Jesus saw something they didn't: hope. One day, a woman was dragged into the crowd, accused, ashamed. The people were ready, stones in their hands, judgment in their eyes. They looked at Jesus and asked, "What should we do?" He stayed silent for a moment, then said something no one expected. "Let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone." Silence. One by one, the stones fell. The crowd walked away. Jesus looked at her, not with anger, but with mercy. "Go, and sin no more." That moment changed everything. People began to understand. This wasn't about rules, it was about grace. But while love spread among the people, anger grew among the leaders. They started planning, watching, waiting, because deep down, they knew the truth. If this man continues, everything will change. He knew it was coming, even before anyone else did. The whispers, the tension, the hidden plans. Something was about to happen, but still, he didn't stop. One evening, Jesus sat with his closest followers. A simple meal, but a heavy moment. The air felt different. He looked at them quietly, not just as followers, but as family. He broke the bread, This is my body. He lifted the cup. This is my blood. They didn't understand, not yet. Then he said something that shook them. One of you will betray me. The room went silent. Eyes shifted, hearts raced. Who? But Jesus already knew. Later that night, under the dark sky, he went to pray. Alone. Not out of fear, but because of what was coming. Not for himself, but for the world. Then, footsteps, torches, voices, soldiers, and with them, someone familiar, one of his own. A kiss, a signal, betrayal. In seconds, everything changed. Jesus was taken. No resistance, no fight, just silence. His followers froze, confused, afraid. The man who healed the sick, who calmed the storms, was now being treated like a criminal. And no one could stop it.